Thank you for joining us for tonight's show. My name is Keiko Agena, and I am one of the new members of Impro Theater Main Company. Now, we recognize the immense challenges that artists and theater companies are still facing in the light of the pandemic. In our mission to spread joy, Impro has been active throughout the pandemic. In addition to our classes going online, we have presented over 350 live streamed shows for free. So I'm here, you guessed it, to ask for your support in our mission. Now, when you support Impro, you are helping us to offset those costs, to expand our programming, to strengthen our community, and to spread joy. And you're not only helping the performances, you're also helping the school, which is a vital, safe, welcoming place for artists of all levels and backgrounds. And we've made it very easy to make a donation. Just go to improtheater.com, click the donate button, or you can go to, you can text it from your phone, text Impro to 44321. That's 44321, text Impro. And we are a nonprofit organization, so it's completely tax deductible. Well, thank you very much for listening to this pitch and for making a donation. And please enjoy the show.
Impro Theater and the cast and crew of this online performance would like to take this time to honor the indigenous peoples of the ancestral and unceded homelands we each inhabit, and to consider the legacy of colonization. In Los Angeles, we pay our respect to the Gabrielina Tongva peoples. Impro Theater supports the promotion of an anti-racist world, where we recognize diversity, equity, and inclusion as central to our values. We are listening, learning, and growing. We invite you to join us in taking action wherever we can to create a more just world. Hey everybody, thank you for joining me for Impro Talk today. Jordan R. Coleman is an actor, an improviser, and an all-around great guy. And you may know him from Snowfall on FX, Physical on Apple TV+, A Million Little Things on ABC, Shameless or Speechless. And here he is, ladies and gentlemen. Please welcome Jordan R. Coleman. You are Jordan R. Coleman because there is another actor named Jordan Coleman.
Yes, there's a kid that was in the Backyardigans. His name is Jordan Coleman. And I guess for whatever reason, I just wasn't being creative on the day when I signed up for SAG. And I just said, Jordan R. Coleman, that'll work. But yeah, I always kick myself now because now I'm like, man, I should have went with like Russ Cole or something, like something cool. But I didn't.
No, I think you're good.
Thanks, man.
So Jordan, I'm so excited that you're here.
Thank you.
There's a lot to talk about.
Yeah.
I know you. I know we've met, or I know you from because you were involved with comedy sports in Los Angeles for a long time.
Yeah.
And I saw you in shows there and in passing and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
But I know from the research that I've done that
I've been Googled.
You were doing comedy sports back home in Texas, in Houston.
Yes. I started doing comedy sports, I believe in 2008 in Houston. I did it there for almost 5. No. I did it for almost 4 years in Houston before I moved to LA. Yeah.
Under the banner of Diana Delaney, I believe.
Yes, the wonderful Diana Delaney, who taught me a lot of what I know, man. So yeah, it's always weird whenever I would see her at like tournaments and stuff. It would be weird, like, man, I'm here in LA with LA, but I come from. So yeah. Always fun.
I know Diana from way back. But before you got involved with doing stuff,
man, I grew up doing plays at church. I did church plays and things like that when I was a kid. I was always like the funny kid, the kid that was talking too much, the kid that was trying to crack a joke and this and that. I remember watching football games with my dad, and like something weird would be happening, and me like having the mind that I had, I would like make up little like weird scenarios or like scenes between like the coach and the quarterback when something wasn't going right, and my dad is just like, "What are you doing?" And would you be
doing their voices?
Yeah. So like I forgot. I think it was Jeff George, quarterback for the Redskins at the time. He was something wasn't going right, and I was just like, between him and the coach, and I made like a little scenario, and my dad was very confused. So it was something that was in me from an early age, man.
So Texas, I mean Houston and
Yeah.
Texas more, I mean, I guess more specifically is
Mm-hmm.
the football capital of the living world.
For sure.
So did you know as a really little, I mean, did you want to be a football player from being a little kid?
Dude, but from the time I was 7 years old, I was going to play football. You couldn't have told 7-year-old Jordan R Coleman, that he wasn't going to play football. And my mom was somebody that was definitely like, yes, you can do it. And that was what I thought I was going to do until my junior year of high school when I started acting.
So when you're going back real quick to the doing voices for the coach and the player on TV, when you're doing that kind of thing and cracking wise at church, were there like plays where you had to learn lines at church functions and that kind of thing, or?
For the most part, it was like it was more singing than anything.
Oh,
like
right.
the one play that my aunt will always bring up is like it was a child's part, but they needed a kid that could hit a particular like high note in the song, and 5, 6-year-old Jordan was the kid.
Yeah.
So I remember doing stuff like that, like vacation Bible school type stuff, where we would learn, lines here and there, but nothing too extensive. But that is where I guess I got my start.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're full on football
from
from seven or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And you're a big guy. Were you a big kid?
I was a huge kid. Yeah. I was a huge kid. I was man, I think I was like 5'9", going from 5th to 6th grade.
Dang.
So yeah, I was a big kid. So playing ball and everything that went along with that was my life when I was young.
Did you do like I mean, some of these questions are going to be ridiculous to a person who lived football like that, but did you do like summer football camp and that kind of stuff?
Yeah, I did summer football camps. This thing in Texas they used to have called TAC. I forgot what it stands for, but we would do it at the high school. And we would like do drills, and we run in the literally like 102-degree Texas heat, like just running and getting ready for it. And then a month before school would start, we would do 2-a-days. So we would have 2 practices a day.
Yeah, for anybody who's not familiar, 2-a-days means that you have a morning football practice where you do your full-on practice, and then a few hours pass and you have like an afternoon or evening practice. And I did that in high school, but
nice.
I wasn't a star, let's say. But I just remember the only thing you could really do in between, and back in my day, the only thing you really do in between is like take a nap, eat food, maybe play video games for a minute or something. But so I'm guessing that was pretty rigorous.
It was exactly what it was, man. We would get there at about 6 a.m. We would have, I forgot exactly what it was. It was like a 7 to 9 or 7 to 10 practice. And then we would have the heat of the day. Then we would have like a 4 to like 6 or 7 practice. So in between, you can kick it. I might have my times wrong because you had maybe about 3 hours. So you could kick it. Most of us just ate food, hang out in the field house, stuff like that. But it wasn't a heck of a lot of times, but it was a nice little break. When you think about it now, it's like, what was the point of us having 2 practices? But excuse me, I really think it was just like a traditional kind of thing.
Because it was allowed.
Yeah, exactly. We do it because we can.
Oh man, high school football. And I'm guessing that it was like Friday Night Lights kind of stuff. I mean, like it was probably very. Did you go to was it a big high school?
Yeah, it was 22-5A, which are the biggest high schools in Texas, and we had a ton of kids. It wasn't quite like in West Texas, because West Texas, literally the town will shut down and that's it. Like if you're not at the game on Friday, I don't know where you are, kind of thing. But we definitely had a ton of people at our games. It was a big deal, and yeah, it was definitely like a Friday Night Lights kind of scenario. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think I read that you were an offensive lineman.
Yes. I played left tackle.
Yeah.
So yeah, played offensive
You
tackle. Yeah.
just did not let those people get at your quarterback.
No. Whenever I got in, I would definitely do my best to keep the quarterback safe.
Were you a wiseacre in high school? Were you cracking wise in the back of class and making
For sure.
jokes, and making
For
people
sure. A ton of talking, a ton of joke cracking. I feel like going back to sports, like the place that I really found myself was in the locker room. Like, talking trash with dudes, really just having fun, making jokes and things like that. And at the time, I never really knew how much that would translate to comedy.
Yeah.
And like, it's the same thing, but you don't know at the time. It's like, oh, I'm just talking with my friends, but it's like, no, you're making jokes and observations and different things like that, and that's comedy.
And you're also, it's safe because you're with your teammates or whatever and your friends,
Oh yeah,
and you know the edges of the boundaries of
yes,
and when you're purposefully pushing past.
yes.
Yeah.
And you learn very quickly in high school, especially high school athletics, there aren't really any boundaries. Like I've heard dudes say things to each other where I'm like, hey, man, what? Why'd you say that? So yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
How did we're going to circle back again in a minute to
All right.
that. How did you discover that, how did acting or performing or something kind of creep its way in back into your world when you were a junior?
Man, honestly, I it was an elective, and I waited until my last 2 years to take theater, and it was required that you take a tech theater class and a theater class, like a theater arts class. And I go to my counselor, and they're like, "Yeah, you have to take these classes." I was like, "Oh, okay, I didn't know that I needed to." So taking tech theater, being myself, again, making jokes, like you say, cracking wise in class. My tech theater teacher, Mr. J, is like, hey Jordan. I was like, yeah, you're a big guy. I was like, yeah. It's like, are you interested in maybe doing a play? I was like, I guess. And he gives me the playbook for Of Mice and Men.
Oh,
And I'm like, I don't know. I play football. He's like, it's second semester. It's our UIL competition in Texas. It's second semester. You don't even have to worry about it. I was like, oh, okay. So that was very much my start into acting was
holy moly.
that day.
That's amazing. I mean, like, you were just being yourself,
Yeah.
and your tech theater teacher,
Mr. Jackie Beck.
Yeah,
Hmm.
he just saw it, Mr. Jack,
Yeah.
and he was like,
Yeah.
did he already know he was going to do Of Mice and Men, or did your presence, you don't even know?
Now the backstory, I don't know. I just know that day he knew that was what they were doing. And he was like, "Do you want to do it?" I was like, "I guess." He's like, "Just look at the play. Just look at the script, and then just go from there." And he took me over to the theater arts teacher, Miss Barfield, and she gave it to me, and I was reading it because we had study hall before practice. Oh no, we had study hall during the period for football, our athletics period, and I'm just sitting there and I'm looking through it. I'm like, "Oh, yeah, all right." And some of my buddies are like, "What is that? Like, what kind of book is that, bro?" I was
Oh,
like,
yeah,
"Oh,
what's that
it's
skinny little book?
yeah, yeah." And I'm like, it's a script. And like it was, yeah, that's how I got into it.
How did the play go? How did the show go?
It was great.
It was great.
It was great. Um, it was. I was always the kid that like instead of like cartoons on Saturdays, I would watch movies. Like I would, sometimes watch cartoons at times, but I would watch movies, and my sister's like, "Why are you watching a movie at like 8 o'clock in the morning?" I'm like, "I don't know, I want to." So like getting into theater, like seeing a script, breaking it down as much as you do in high school, and really like learning more about what I already loved was really cool. And the play went well, got some awards, got some um, you know, admiration from the judges and different things like that. And I was like, man, this could be a thing. This, like, I could maybe do this. So Yeah,
You
it felt
got
really
some.
good.
You got some awards.
Yeah.
What you're hiding your light under a basket here?
Right.
What were the awards? What did you like?
It,
New actor or something like that?
I got oh man, I got like honorable mention for best actor, and then I think I got that twice. And then when we did UIL the next year, my senior year, I got best actor the day that we were eliminated, and then I got like all-star cast is what they called it. I got that as well for
Um,
I'm Not Rappaport.
oh, really?
Yeah,
Wow. What a
yeah,
great, that's fantastic. Once you knew you were doing the play and you
hmm,
made the decision,
yeah.
um, you probably had a couple of months before rehearsals or whatever started, and football was still going on because football has a long season.
Right.
Um, did was anybody hassling you, or were they like, whatever, do your thing?
No, I didn't get any hassling, and I actually skipped some football practices to go to auditions. So I'll be like, oh, coach, I'm sick, hurt, whatever. And I'll be like, I need to come in late or something like that. And they'd be like, all right. So, but from my actual friends and teammates, I remember one dude was like, so you in a play? I was like, yeah. Like on stage? I was like, yep. All right, yeah, I'm gonna come see it. I'm gonna come see it. Like it was like the wheels were turning, like, wait, how can you do both? But there
Yeah.
was never any like, oh, that's this or that's that. Like it was all support.
Also, you were probably the biggest guy at school or one of them.
Definitely one of the biggest
So
dudes in school,
so
yeah.
people weren't exactly in a position to push around the offensive
For
linemen.
sure, for sure.
Um, yeah, that's great. That's so great.
Mhm.
Um, and so it went well enough. Did you start auditioning for other things right away, or did you? How did it work? Like, how much positive feedback was just doing the first play?
Well, that first play, it was a ton of positive feedback, but I was still kind of in the dark as far as like how it worked. And with football, my first semester, when they were doing, I think they did two plays the first semester, I wasn't available.
Yeah.
So I did Of Mice and Men my junior year. My senior year, I did the Heidi Chronicles, which was just a regular play. And then I did the UIL play the next year, which was I'm Not Rappaport. So a couple more started coming in. But as far as high school, I only did three plays. Yeah.
And outside of high school, outside of school
Mhm.
plays, were you suddenly like kind of thinking like, oh, there's community theater over here or anything like that, or
No,
was it just strictly for school?
dude, it was strictly for school. And I honestly still, like, I didn't know how it worked.
Yeah.
So I only did the Heidi Chronicles because somebody dropped out, and they're like, "Hey Jordan, come over to the theater room real quick." I was like, "Okay," and I did, and they were like, "You want to be in this?" I was like, yeah, I guess." And I didn't know what's going on there. But as far as like outside, like you say, community theater and things like that, I had no idea.
Yeah.
I only started doing comedy sports because we had this thing called Southwest Casting in Houston, and a buddy of mine saw that I was looking at like the breakdown for it. I was like, man, improv, I don't know, man. Funny people that can do, I don't know, dude. And my roommate at the time was like, if you don't do this, I'm never gonna talk to you again.
Uh,
Like, if you don't go to this audition, like, go to this audition. I was like, oh, okay. So I went to it and started doing improv, short form improv.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Did you play football senior year, even though you had discovered theater? Okay.
I did. I did play football my senior year, and it was the same thing as my junior year. I knew that first semester that was that, and then the second half I went and started doing theater.
Right. And
Yeah.
how are your family and non-school friends sort of dealing with this like sudden emergence of like, or I guess you'd call it like they knew who you were and your sort of like your personality, but now
Yeah.
you are actually channeling it into a specific thing on stage. Like how did they react?
Man, again, it was very supportive. I remember my mom, my mom and my sister came, and we the what was it? I think it was the district. We did our performance at our school, Then we advanced to district, and my mom and my sister like drove out to it. And I remember after the play, I come out in my costume and stuff. I'm like, "Hey, okay." And my mom is just crying.
Hmm.
She's crying. She's, I know it's not real, but you were so good. I was like, okay, that's good. My dad, like, he was cool with it as well. But honestly, inside at school with sports and all that, and people on the outside, it was very supportive.
Yeah. Oh, that's
Yeah.
fantastic. You do the Southwest audition thing, and did Comedy Sports just say like, boom, you're in, let's do it, let's go, like right away, or how did that go?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, the way we did it in Houston, we had everybody come, and we did like the initial audition. You do the first audition, they go in the back in what we call the swing room where we warmed up and all that stuff. And they're like, "Oh, we just need to deliberate for a second. We'll be back." So they go back there, like all the alums and people that currently were on the main company, they would talk and then they come back. They will make cuts. You do it again. Like you do another audition, different games, different things like that. Okay, we just need to go talk for a second. They go in the back, do it again. And after 3 rounds, I was in. Like we were on the PIT, so we were the players in training. And then I think after 2 weeks of being a player in training, because everybody had to go through that, I was on the team. I was on the main company.
I hope they served you running back to the back to discuss and talk about. No, nothing.
No,
Wow, that is
no,
really, that's harsh.
no, no.
Um,
But we
I'm,
got paid for shows, so I can't really complain too much.
I'm going to write a letter, is what I'm going to. During that time, did just doing that show cause you to look around Houston for other things to do, or were you just sort of happy at home there?
Here and there, I would kind of look for things, but nothing too serious. Until we had a long form team as well, and we got invited to a kind of like a local theater downtown to perform. And in that performance, it was a good performance. People were laughing. It was a good time. But there was a dude in the crowd named Mel House, and he hits me up on Facebook Messenger and is like, "Hey man, I got this thing. I want you to be a part of it." And I'm like, "Okay." And come to find out, this is a show that he was making in Houston. He's a local producer, writer, director in Houston, and he was making this show called The Placeholders, and he was doing it specifically to give people like SAG eligibility.
Oh, nice.
So that was the only thing that ever came out of like me performing and getting into a production. So other than that, like I would look here and there, but nothing too big ever really came out of it.
Well, that's what a great opportunity to get SAG eligibility out of doing
For
a show.
sure.
That's
For
really
sure. And
cool.
which actually really nudged me to move out to LA.
Yeah, how did that process go like for you? Had you been thinking about maybe leaving Houston already, or what, how did that come about?
Man, honestly, I didn't really have much, like I hadn't put too much thought into leaving Houston until I got the SAG eligibility. I knew I wanted to act. I knew I wanted to continue to do improv. I want to keep doing improv and like, I guess maybe I could do some acting or commercial. I don't know. And in Houston, it's really only one talent agency that I knew about. And once I got the SAG eligibility from the placeholders, another buddy of mine was like, "Man, you can't really use this here. Like, you gotta go. Like, it's either gonna be Chicago, New York, or LA. So, I mean, it's up to you, of course, but like, you got to get out of here. It's not a lot of places to use this." So, with that, I started kind of doing my research. I had a few friends that lived out here, and then I made the move. I saved money for about a year, and then I moved out here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you'd probably already, I'm guessing that you'd already met some of the Los Angeles Comedy Sports folks at like the tournament and things like that.
Actually, my first year going to tournament, I was here. So I came out for a visit. I came to visit Los Angeles to see how I felt about it. And Diana actually set up me playing with the Los Angeles team, and I met everybody that way.
Oh,
Well, I
that's
met a
great.
lot of people that way.
Oh, that's fantastic. So kind of a soft landing coming to LA.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah. But do you get back to it's a bit of a hike. Do you get back to have you been able to get back to Texas frequently enough to see family and that?
I would usually get back once or twice a year. So like, I go back for like the holidays or different things like that, or just to see people and stuff. But for the most part, I've been here, man. I've been
Yeah,
here most of this 8 years.
duking it out.
Yeah.
How did it go? Like you get to LA, you start doing comedy sports and that sort of
Yeah.
thing. You're SAG eligible.
Uh-huh.
Did it feel like it took a minute to kind of get attention from agents and opportunities, or?
Honestly, man, once I got here, I got to Los Angeles. I stayed with a buddy for a minute. I moved into a house with another friend of mine, just like staying temporarily. Once I got my reel together from one of his roommates and started sending things out, it was kind of not instant, but it worked pretty quick. I started sending emails out. I got uh the casting directors, not casting directors, I'm sorry, the agents listing from
Yeah,
what is that bookstore called? Samuel French.
sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
when Samuel French was around, I got the agents listing from there, and I started sending out the reel that he cut together for me, my resume, and the little like headshots that I had, and I sent out about 15 to 20 emails, and I got about 8 back. Like 8 people
Wow.
hit me back, and yeah, then it kind of hit the ground running, man. Before that, I got on LA Casting. Oh no, I got on Actors Access, and I did like this little thing with David Spade for his last comedy special. And after that, probably about 2 or 3 months later, got an agent.
Dang, good for you.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, and what was the like? I'm thinking like you had placeholders and you had probably some other stuff from Houston. What was the thing in LA that let you know, like, all right, was it? I see you did a mini series
yeah,
in like 2016 where you did a bunch of
yeah,
episodes. High School Cupid. What
yeah.
was that kind of a thing that said like, all right, I'm in the right place, or was it?
Honestly, man, the thing that let me know I could do it, oh, dude, the thing that let me know I could do it was kind of again was comedy sports.
Yeah, yeah,
Was doing comedy sports, getting laughs there, not only with the caliber of talent that is at CSDLA, but the audience. Like that audience has seen, I mean, they've seen IO, they've seen Impro, they've seen Second City, they've seen UCB. Like it's not like when you're in Houston, you're the only game in town. Like
yeah,
like CSD Houston, I think it's maybe one or two like very small places to do improv, but those are the only games in town. So coming here and performing here and getting the reaction that I did, that kind of made me think like, okay, this feels a lot like home. I feel like if these people are into what I'm doing, I think I can do all right here. So
nice.
that gave me the confidence I needed to continue to move forward.
So then it's just a matter of time. It's just a matter of
Yeah,
like getting, batting percentage, slugging percentage, getting,
for
getting
sure.
getting into auditions and that sort of
Yeah.
thing. Is there any sort of early LA job, like commercial or other theatrical job, that you kind of hold close to your heart as being kind of like yes, kind
Man,
of?
booking that first commercial for Aaron's Furniture. It was for Aaron's Furniture. I said no in English and in Spanish.
Well done.
So it was two different commercials, which I didn't know at the time. And doing that on set, and like really that was my first real job, and I was just like, I don't know what's gonna happen, I don't know what to do, but okay, like here we go, like this is it. I would say that, and I was in a boy band with Funny or Die, I think in 2014,
Hmm.
and that was another like real taste of like Los Angeles. This
Yeah,
is it. You
yeah,
audition, you may get it, you may not. And I remember like they were going through the cut process because it was very much like American Idol, but it was like these I think the girls were like 10 to 13 and they were picking a boy band. And I very much had a talk with myself backstage, like, okay, this is it. This is what you wanted. Like either you're gonna get it or you're not. Like this is the business. And I feel like that was something also that made me like, okay, I can do this. Like I have the temperament for it. I think like I can take the rejection if it comes. So yeah.
was your audition scripted for the Funny or Die thing?
No, it was all improv, man. All improv. Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
And all right, so then things start picking up. You're doing.
Yeah.
Did you do improv and sketch at other places in LA?
I did shows. Like I did a show with Andy Crocker at Second City. I would do shows here and there, like IO and UCB. But as far as like school anywhere else, like I never gone anywhere else to get like actual improv teaching.
Was that the Waiting for Godot show that you did with Andy, or was it?
No, I did Weenie something. Hold on. It was like her like director show. Give me 1 second, I'll tell
Right, okay.
you. Yeah.
Andy Crocker is a big Los Angeles comedy sports
She is
star,
fantastic.
legend.
Yes.
Also a director, also a teacher, also a writer,
Yeah.
and a bit of a improv hero, actually.
Hey, I hate to call a timeout on this. Can I use the bathroom real quick?
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Thanks, man. I'll be right back.
Yeah, sure.
So the show I did with Andy Crocker was called I Dream of Weenie. It was a sketch show, her director show at Second City.
I dream of Weenie.
Yeah.
And so you've got your LA improv home, and you've got an agent, and you're auditioning, and you're doing stuff. Does it seem like it's time to like start teaching? Does it seem like it's time to start coaching people, or are you happy kind of being an artist like you are?
If I'm being honest, man, I have never thought that I was somebody to teach anybody or to coach in any way. Like I've never felt that that was me. Like in Houston, I taught our 101 class once, and I don't know. Like I don't know. I never thought it was for me. I never thought
Yeah.
that was my calling.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
maybe one day. You've got that very positive, warm personality along with the talent, and that's a good quality to have in a coach or a teacher.
Thank you.
So you get start getting TV work. Forever I Feel Bad. You get on Speechless, and then you get a recurring role on A Million Little Things.
Yeah.
I imagine that was pretty rewarding because you've done recurring stuff before, but it's a little bit of a bigger deal.
Yeah.
Yeah,
man.
like because you're coming back for another episode.
Mm-hmm.
Does it? It seems like it would feel comfortable, like oh yeah, I know these people, they know me. Does it have that kind of familiarity feeling to it?
Yeah. Yeah, it definitely did. And everybody being so nice and everybody being so welcoming, especially with it being the first season of the show, it made it super easy.
Yeah.
Getting to like go up to Canada and like you're in a hotel and like, oh yeah, they're gonna give you this and we're gonna do that. I was just like, oh, okay. And it was weird. It was really weird, and but in a cool way, because like you actually feeling like, okay, I'm really doing this. Like I'm yeah. So it definitely was like a step up in my career.
I love that you have this theme of like I'm doing it. It's really happening. Like
Yeah.
each step of the way, the universe is saying, "Dude, this is what you should be doing. This is where you should be." And each time you're like, "Wow, imagine
All
that."
right. Yeah.
Was that in Vancouver?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, they shoot in Vancouver, and it was a really cool experience, man. Really cool
I hear
experience.
such great things about that city too.
Yeah.
Um,
A lot of nature, it's very eclectic. A lot of a good mix of people. It's really cool.
yeah. Did you have any time to like, go see stuff or go to good
Well,
restaurants or anything like that?
I got some time to go to some good restaurants there. I haven't got to do as much of the nature stuff as I would like to do.
Yeah.
So that's definitely something that I want to get into, because it's a lot of like nature parks and hikes and different things like that around there. So I'd like to get into that more.
So then you've got show offs, you've got Shameless. Did you
Yeah.
did you shoot Shameless here in LA?
Yeah, Shameless was here in LA. Yeah,
And how was that? That's a big
it was
show also.
it was great. I was actually shooting with Luis Guzman, and it was just it was crazy because it was a short little thing. It wasn't like a huge scene by any means, but again, people were super welcoming. They were very nice. I remember that. Let me see. Yeah, William H. Macy. I shot with Luis Guzman and William H. Macy, and it was just like business as usual to them. But I'm like, oh man, I know you from it, and I know you too. And I keep that stuff inside, and I really very much try to treat co-star roles, guest star roles, whatever. Like we're co-workers, like we work together. So I'm not gonna like freak out and say anything or anything like that. But they were super welcoming. They made it very easy, and it was a really good time, man.
Those are two guys. Those are two guys who've done so much stuff that, like, you could forgive a person for freaking out, like, because those guys have done so much stuff.
Yeah,
both of those guys.
for sure.
Were they cool? Were they nice to you? Were they
Super cool?
Yeah,
super cool. After we shot, they both were like, "Hey man, good job." And William H. Macy is like, "Hey, great job, man. I'll see you again." I was like, "Oh, okay." Like, will you? I mean, because you could have me back if you wanted to. So but yeah, it's just those little moments like that are cool and like great experience, but are also very they very much solidify for me, like, again, like you said, hey, I can do this. And like while the universe is like, yes, you're doing
Yes.
it. But yeah, I still have those moments like, yeah, all right.
So also in 2019, you book a big job. You book the series Snowfall.
Yeah, man.
You come in series after they've done 2 seasons.
Yeah.
So, but you're in the first episode of the 3rd season, so they're not
Yeah.
messing around. They want to establish your character.
Yeah.
And you're kind of this. When you're introduced, you're kind of like this bodyguard or henchman, part of the crew, for one of the rivals. It's a drama, but it's kind of got elements of a procedural crime and like Law and Order, forgive the expression, kind of aspect to it, complete with like crooked, double dealing FBI guys and Argentinian drug dealers, and then like Los Angeles, rival drug retailers. So I assume that was it called a recurring role when you auditioned, or was it called the series regular, or what was it? What was the
Man, I was so close to being a series regular.
Okay.
I was from what I've been told, so close to being a series regular. I was actually a recurring guest star.
Okay.
And ended up doing 13 episodes of that show, which was amazing.
Now, so John Singleton was a executive producer on that.
Yeah.
On that show. Did you meet him? Did you get to?
He was at my callback.
He was.
He was at my freaking callback, and it was so strange. I go to my callback. They had the Stick Shack carpet for whatever reason. I don't know why. Like a rug. I walk in and I look to my left, and John Singleton is just there, like, just looking at me. And I'm like, what? That's John Singleton. I almost trip on this rug. I get in, get to the middle of the room, and what I was thinking was maybe going to be a producer, maybe a director. It was literally like, 12 to 15 people in that room. And I'm just like, wait, what? So we do the scene, get some laughs, get some direction. They say I do a great job. I'm like, okay. And I leave. Because like you never know what's gonna happen, if they actually liked it, if they actually didn't, whatever. But about 4 to 5 days later, I booked it.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
So for anybody who's not 100% sure, John Singleton was a amazing writer, director, producer. Boys in the Hood,
Yeah.
Poetic Justice, the reboot of Shaft.
Yep.
He did a bunch of 30 for 30s, I think. He actually worked in the early seasons of Billions. Um, so I mean, this guy is he's a legend. He was
Yeah.
and unfortunately passed during the while Snowfall was being made.
Yeah. During season 3.
Yeah. What was it like? So I've been trying to kind of come back to this question.
Yeah.
Has there been a point? I guess I was going to say apart from comedy sports because it seems a little too obvious, but has there been a point in your professional TV film work where the discipline and everything else that you took from high school sports really kind of came to your aid or applied, or has it just been, I'm a hard worker and I know what my job is and I'm going to do my job?
Well, I would honestly say, and I was actually talking to a buddy of mine about this. Really, the hard work and the ability to kind of just put yourself on autopilot and get through the times that are kind of tough. Like, because I know in football practice in high school, like there would definitely be times it's 98, 101 degrees, and it's just like, man, I don't want to be out here. I don't want to be doing this. But you know what? Kind of turn my brain off. I know exactly what I need to be doing. I'll get through this practice, and it's Wednesday. We'll have practice tomorrow. Games on Friday. So like, you kind of just get yourself through those moments and just kind of just put your head down and keep your feet moving, to quote Friday Night Lights the movie. And yeah, I really do feel like that, along with taking the same sort of mentality and I guess tenacity from sports into not only improv but also acting, like very much attacking something, going for it, giving it everything that I had. And the cards will fall, chips will fall where they may, because so much of it isn't up to you. Like in football, you line up against somebody and it's very cut and dry. Either you won or you didn't. But with this, it's so much that you don't get to see in acting. Like, you may be in a room where they're like, "Oh, Jordan, great job. We loved it." And you never hear from them again. It's like, but you loved it. Wait a minute. I thought I booked it. So, unfortunately there's that. But I do feel like that mentality from sports has helped me a lot.
Because there's so much time as an actor where the phone isn't ringing or your email isn't pinging, you're not getting auditions, you're not, and you have to keep yourself, mentally ready and available emotionally for because you could get an audition, in a minute and suddenly have to, like during the pandemic, suddenly have to self-tape it tonight.
Yep.
Or something like that. So
and it's 5 pages. Like, wait,
and
what?
it's
What? Yeah.
So that is that. I guess that is where the kind of the discipline of keep your head down and put your head down and keep your feet moving. Comes into play. And it's really interesting you say, like turning off that part of your brain and just doing, quote unquote, just doing it.
Yeah.
I've heard that from people before, and I'm really that's just sort of like it resonates with me. That there are times when you just have to be like, well, this is what I'm doing right now. I can't be.
For sure.
Yeah.
I'm an actor, but I work at Starbucks, or I'm an actor, but I'm a bouncer. You know what I'm saying? Like, you get through those times and then get to wherever that's taking you.
Yeah. I'm curious about this, and I think I know the answer, but I'm gonna ask it anyway. When you move from Houston to Los Angeles and you start going to auditions for whatever commercials and/or TV and film work and stuff, and you're sitting in the waiting room with other guys who are about to go read for the same role that you're reading. Were you ever a person that was like susceptible to being rattled by somebody else in the waiting room, or were you always just like, you know what, I'm an offensive lineman, I'm gonna be fine?
Honestly, man, the one thing I never got rattled. The one thing that I didn't like to hear, or I still don't like to hear, is other people's auditions.
Yeah.
I don't like to hear that because like I kind of have it in my head how I want to do it or how I think it should sound or whatever. So to hear somebody else's, it's just like, well, I don't know. Is that how, and I don't want to get in my own head. But other than that, I love sitting out in the lobby with people and kind of, talking smack and, like telling jokes and stuff like that. Like just kind of getting a feel for people because I really do feel like that carries over into the room.
You audition for the big guy a lot. So do you audition with other guys that you see at the same audition? Like
Yeah.
you do.
Yeah, for sure. And it's weird, and it's something that I really didn't know until I experienced it. You walk into a lobby or a waiting room, and it's like 3 or 4 guys there that kind of look like you, and it's weird. And I was just like, wait, you're me if I was like 5'7". Wait, you're me if I wore glasses. Wait, what?
You're
Oh,
you're me if I was 5'7". You're me if I was wearing glasses.
yeah, and it was like weird to me at first. It's like, okay, I guess this is just how it goes, especially when you're going in for like guest star roles and things like that. But yeah, at first it was kind of strange, but yeah.
A friend of mine told me recently at an audition on Zoom or whatever, but he said, dude, I was like, how's it been going? He goes, dude, when we were back home, like, cause I grew up in Wisconsin, he's
Oh
like,
yeah.
when we were back home, we were the only guy that looked like us. But now that we're in Los Angeles, there's 10 other, they got their choice of which version of you they want.
Right.
Which is pretty funny. And I think it's interesting that you said the same thing. So do you take away from, apart from just the how rewarding it must be to be on a show for so many episodes, did you take away any sort of valuable lessons about how things work by being, 13 episodes is no joke. I mean, you're on set, you're probably working with getting to work with a lot of different directors, you're a lot of different other actors and that sort of thing throughout the seasons. Are there any sort of lessons as an actor or lessons as an artist that you take away from that experience?
Well, one thing for sure is just like always be ready. Trust your instincts. If you do something that they don't like they'll tell you. A director's gonna let you know, like, hey man, that was weird, or hey, try it like this or whatever.
Hey, man,
But like I really, yeah, like, hey Jordan, why'd you say it like that?
no, that was weird. That was just weird.
That was weird. So like it definitely was like a trust your instinct kind of thing. And I feel like with from improv, you get a really good sense of tone, what something is supposed to sound like. Okay, this is going on in the room. When I walk in the room, I should say this like this. And that was a compliment that I got a lot on set. Like your ability to match the tone of a scene and know where something is going is great. So like I would just continue to trust my instincts with that. And it definitely helped me, not only like from directors and producers, but other actors on set. Eamon Joseph in particular, when he came up to me, I think like my second day working, he's like, "Hey man, when the camera's not, when you don't have lines, the camera's still on you. So make sure that you're engaged and you're doing something interesting whenever it's on you, because those kind of things can make it to where you get more screen time, different stuff like that, just like little nuggets and things like that." And again, like John Singleton, who was on set every day since I started working with the show, him just sitting watching rehearsals like in Video Village and stuff like that, and being around him, like he would sit there, he would watch the monitor, and every so often he'd be like, "That's it. That's the scene right there." And like just like getting little bits of game and knowledge from those guys was something that definitely helped me along my journey.
Cool.
Yeah,
Well, that's experience. I mean, that's information that you can only get from experience, I think.
exactly.
Witnessing that, having somebody say like, stay engaged, because that's how they're going to use you on camera, and that's how they're going to
Yep.
use you in the future.
Yep.
Critical, being able to see that.
Mhm.
And then you did a couple, you've done a couple episodes of Physical. Do you think that's going to yield more episodes? What do you think?
I have no idea. I got the best feedback from the creator and executive producer of that show. I think it was this. I think the assistant director. He came up to me and he was like, "Man, uh, the executive producer is gonna come down." When she watched the tape, she called me immediately. It was like, "This guy has it. He's got it." So I was hoping that like somehow Vince would come back on that show, but it hasn't happened yet. Still got my fingers crossed because that was one of the easiest and most fun days that I've had so far on set. We shot at a house in Long Beach, right on the beach, hanging out. They had churros. It was for the scene, but they made extras. So it was really fun, man. So I would love to be back on physical.
This is physical is Rose Byrne, Roy Scovel. It's a period piece, sort of
Yeah.
in the 70s.
Yeah.
Do you think that that people appreciate like improv as a training ground for film and TV work in the right way? This is kind of a weird question to ask, but a lot of people say, oh, you should have improv training so then you can kind of like make a joke about a line. But I think that improv training teaches you how to be present
Yes.
in the moment with your scene partners and the other people around you, whether they're in the scene or not.
Sure.
What's your take on improv training to translating to TV and film work?
Honestly, man, I do feel like it's more so what you said. Like people think it's more like, yeah, you can make a quick joke or you can crack something here or there. It's like, but honestly, it's more of being present. It's more of like I said before, like learning tone, learning like, okay, if they said this two lines back, then my line should definitely be said this way. Like it teaches you those things. Like it's not always about joking and comedy. I really do feel like it's a tool that isn't utilized enough. Because like on set, I don't know about you, but I've definitely run into people that are like, "Oh, comedy? No, not absolutely not.
Yeah.
Like I'm not doing that."
Yeah.
So like, and they don't understand that like if you took an improv class or two, it would help you with your drama. Like it's not all just jokes.
Yeah.
So I think it is a tool if it's something that you tap into, but I don't think enough people know how beneficial it could be.
Yeah, that's a really good point.
Yeah.
This is something I've been asking guests lately, and it's become a bit of a habit. So bear with me. But if you have the opportunity to talk to somebody who's thinking about "quote unquote" chasing their dream, or thinking about that, oh, I play guitar a little bit over here on the side, but my parents are telling me I should be a lawyer. Or maybe it's an adult person who's like, oh, I've always thought maybe I could, do some acting or singing or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Do you have sort of advice or just thoughts for would-be artists, would-be creators out there of any age?
Honestly, man, if you love it and it's something that you constantly think about, I would say just do it. And I know that's been kind of the phrase of the night, but you just have to do it. I knew when I was in Houston, I was working at a trucking company and I started doing CSC Houston. And I knew probably within the first few months, if I don't pursue this and I don't actually really try to make a go at performing uh as an occupation in some capacity, I'm gonna hate myself. Like, because if it doesn't happen, if I don't make it happen, I'm just gonna be the really funny dude at UPS, or like the really funny like a CPA or something like that. Like, oh man, you man, you're really funny. You could have, and that would have ate me alive. And it was like, dude, you have to go at least try. So I always like that's what I say, man. If it's something that's in you and that's constantly on your mind and that you know that you can do, because I feel like people know you know when you find that thing. Whether or not you pursue it is up to you, but you know when you find that thing that really gets you going. So I say just do it. I don't care what age you are. Just go for it.
And maybe somebody will just hand you the script for Of Mice and Men.
Maybe. Maybe.
Well, Jordan R. Coleman, my friend, thank you for joining us tonight for Impro Talk.
Thank you for having me.
Jordan is, you could see him. Well, I see you've got something called Life in Long Beach. Is that?
I did like a tiny little voiceover thing on
okay.
that. I actually, I don't even know if I can say that. Can I say that? They're doing a reboot of Monster High on Nickelodeon, and
Really?
yeah, I'm doing a voice in that. And
Good.
I actually went and I shot episode 10 for A Million Little Things. So
Oh,
I went back on
nice.
that for season 4. So yeah, I got a few things working,
That's
and yeah,
some things that we can look forward to.
for sure. Yeah, waiting on
And
the next big role, man.
and also for those of you who don't know, Jordan is one of the most recent company members at Impro Theater. But for now, thanks, Jordan, and thank you for watching. And we'll see you next time.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.